So, welcome to today to Phenomenal Conversations, introducing Ralph Thurm. And for a working title, we'll be speaking about bioregionalism, nomadism, and planetary survival. So, having said that, I'm just going to say a little bit about Phenomenal Conversations. So I endeavour to interview change makers that I feel are living regenerative change, embodying and exemplifying it. In doing so, we try to expand imagination in the midst of the polycrisis, amplifying meaningfulness and nuance in a chaotic world, and then also try to ask profound questions. And we have two formats. This is the kind of conventional one-on-one format where I interview a change maker. And then also, like once quarterly or 3 or 4 times a year, I do a live event where I interview a change maker, and we gather people from around the world and we explore the topics and come up with a kind of collective wisdom in response to key areas of the dialogue. So that's the format. If you like this topic or this field of regenerative change, then please like, subscribe, and comment, because that helps support this work. So that being said, Ralph, who I do know personally, and I've been participated in his R3.0 events, but I'd love to hear a little bit, for people that are unfamiliar with you, Ralph, something of your biography that led up to, founding R3.0, and we'll go into the reasons for that in the next question.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me, David. I sometimes kick off by saying that I see myself a little bit as a young veteran in the field of sustainability, regeneration, thriving. And it really started for me with the Brundtland Report in 1987,
Right.
which I read before I started to study economics at the University of Nuremberg in Germany from in 89 to 1992. And I was intrigued by that paradigm of sustainability and was interested to link it to economic theory, both microeconomics and macroeconomics. And that was the beauty of studying economics in the 90s in Germany. You always needed to combine microeconomics and macroeconomics before you then specialize on one of the two.
Right. Right.
And that micro macro link I'm still very thankful for,
Right.
because that very clearly made that connection between what microeconomics do and what the macroeconomic outcomes of that are, and
Yeah.
then influenced by governments, policies, geopolitics, and all of these other things. But it was also the start of a journey for me, really making that connection between sustainability and economics. And
Right.
that journey has never ended, you may say. After that, I was working for Siemens for about a decade, and really pioneered sustainability there. Something like a chief sustainability officer didn't exist at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Even the vocabulary didn't exist, so I needed to invent it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was heading the Sustainability Strategy Council of Siemens for a couple of years, which brought together the different industry types that Siemens was working in and engineering, and the different regions
Yeah.
where Siemens was invested in, which is more or less everywhere around the world. They said that
Yeah.
they are at home in 190 countries of the planet.
Yeah.
So really wanting to get a grip on sustainability, you you got about 250 different opinions what sustainability really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that brought me in touch with with an NGO called the Global Reporting Initiative
Right.
in 1998. It
Okay.
was just founded, and it was really about bringing transparency to what sustainability means and how you would measure it and how you would report it. And that was exactly what I needed at that
Yeah.
time. And I did that until 2002, until the GRI moved to Amsterdam. And at that time, being a stichting, a foundation, in the Dutch world, they were asking me if I would like to join them. I was working as a European industry expert in various working groups of GRI already.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they just wanted to have me there. And with the economic background, the sustainability background, I could take over a couple of roles and became sort of the COO, CFO, CIO, if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite a number of functions you can have in such small organizations. And under also partially my leadership, the second and the third generation of the GRI guidelines got produced.
And the idea, I mean, I know it might not be obvious exactly what they were trying to do, and I know it was probably inventing it as you went along
Yeah,
because it was
well,
so early. So it might be
well,
good to explain that because the next phase of your
mhm.
career, as it were, was a sort of you could say as a critique of that way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The basic idea was just simply sunlight is the best disinfectant.
yeah,
And with a lot of transparency about what an organization does and various fields that you can connect to sustainability, you could measure that performance, you can report on that performance.
yeah,
Investors can potentially, make sense out of it,
yeah.
and then really trying to move the whole field forward.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it was the idea that time during that time that reporting can have a major influence
yes,
on
yeah,
strategies and on shaping global markets around sustainability with less footprint and much
yes,
more
yeah,
handprint.
yeah,
And so we were all very enthusiastic about that idea. And yeah, like I said, a couple of the versions of the GRI guidelines really emerged also under my partial leadership. I was responsible for the principles work streams as well. And one of those principles was the sustainability context principle.
right, okay,
And that is still at the heart of the work that I've been doing ever since, to a
right,
certain degree at least, until other things also became more potent and more important. But that really said, and that brings back the micro macro link, you can only measure your performance or you can only know about sustainability if you measure your performance against
yes, yeah,
the limits and demands of this planet, both environmentally and later on also socially, that you have a clear guidance on how much can you actually do
yeah,
without burdening the planet and stress on people
yeah,
or human rights or whatever. So all of these different areas came into view, and that is why sustainability context is so important still today, and still so neglected, which is
yes, yeah,
part of the problem. And I did that until 2008, and I was then, because due to my function, I was also the contact person to all of the major consultancies and big accounting firms. The idea arose, how much more sustainability could we achieve if they understood sustainability well, and then also bring it to their clients
yeah,
and develop a business field out of this idea. And during that time, I had contact to all of the major firms, and I decided to leave GRI. First of all, because I thought I could have more impact working for one of these major firms, and it became Deloitte actually.
okay, yeah,
And the other reason was that I saw a lack of enforcement of the sustainability contact principle from the side of the GRI board of directors.
right,
Their main focus was, hey, let's first get as many organizations to report at all
yeah, yeah,
before we complicate it, so
yeah,
to say.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And so at that time, also the ESG movement started to take shape, where investors said, oh, you want companies to report on sustainability? Well, give us one indicator.
yeah,
And that was, of course, impossible.
yeah.
And we said, well, it's not that easy. You should have at least a couple. And that is why E, S, and G became so
Right, okay,
important.
yeah,
But it's just progress
yeah,
reporting
yeah,
with the lack of linking it to the macro level, to the sustainability context,
yeah,
what we now call thresholds and allocations.
yeah,
of any performance and the way how to do that. That was one of the main reasons internally, but externally, I was also thinking, well, if Deloitte does it well, the others will do it as well,
yeah,
do it well as well.
yeah, yeah,
And I worked for Deloitte and was heading the sustainability business for the whole EMEA region, and then in touch with all the other member firms as well globally, and really also linking sustainability to innovation,
right.
which for these companies is a very strange thing because innovation normally means somebody innovates something and then you buy it
Yeah,
and make a service line out of it.
yeah,
And I had a different idea also about how to integrate sustainability. In my discussions then, I was saying, I don't want this to be another service line.
yeah,
It had to be embedded across all service lines
yeah,
because
yeah,
sustainability is a cross-cutting issue.
yeah, yeah.
And Deloitte was the only firm that was really trying to say, yeah, okay, well, let's try this. And so
So
I
this
worked
was like 2008, 10, was it? Yeah,
2008 to
yeah,
2012. And then in 2012, the Rio Plus 20 summit happened.
yeah,
And there was an outcome document. It was called The Future We Want.
right.
And a couple of us, we were looking at each other and we said, well, that's going to take forever. Isn't it the future we design?
Mm. Oh,
So
right.
really
Okay.
moving from a passive to an active role. And we were looking at all sorts of standards, all sorts of policies, all sorts of kinds of firms. And is anybody doing that work
Yeah,
really? And we found out no.
right.
They are all stuck in this ESG incrementalism in a
Yeah,
certain way because the financial market wouldn't want to go further. Companies don't really want to know about their level of unsustainability
yeah.
because that is what the sustainability context principle enforcement would also get them to. And
Just
that
just to
led,
stop you there, I wanted to interject an observation
yeah,
because sustainability was this new concept in the early 2000s, and I came across a lot of people endeavoring to work, with the enemy or work on this in the system, on the system. But one of the key critiques that I found that came out from a lot of people that had the role was like you were saying, sustainability was like a nice to have, but it was just a kind of embellishment, not integrated with through all services and through all lines. So it came be
yeah,
something that those people got very frustrated because they couldn't change even the companies they were working in, let
yeah,
alone systems change.
yeah. And
Would that
we need
be
to
a good way
recognize.
to summarize what you've just said, or?
Yeah, I think I would even go one step further. And
Yeah,
again, this links to the micro macro link. This whole first 20 years of so-called sustainability, which I
yeah,
just call ESG progress in the end,
yeah,
was still sort of trying to find the ROI of sustainability in an
yes,
existing economic system.
yeah,
And my opinion was always there is no sustainable business in an unsustainable economic system.
yeah,
And therefore, it's not about the business case for sustainability, it's the sustainability case for business.
yes, yeah, yeah,
That sustainability really wanted to look at,
yeah,
but we never went that far,
yeah,
and we're still not there.
yeah,
And that led to my frustration about the development of standards
yeah,
and the development of government policies. And in that sense, yes, it remained a nice to have in good times. And when the times were bad, there were more important things to do.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
And we've
yeah,
seen that in many crises. And that is why there is still a status quo where I would say there is not even one sustainable company on this planet. Not one.
wow, yeah, yeah. That's pretty, what's the word, gobsmacking, given
Well,
there's so much written about it and, so
yeah,
much
yeah, yeah.
publicity about it.
Yeah, but there's always this mingling between ESG and sustainability. And there are
Yeah,
so many so-called experts. And if you look at social media, I see posts every day where people talk about ESG and call it sustainability. Well,
yeah,
it is
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah,
It is
yeah,
not sustainability. It is just efficiency measurements in an ESG progress world.
Yeah.
And in that sense, we never got to the core of sustainability, and that goes back to the complete denial of the sustainability context principle.
Okay, well then that I think nicely leads on to your founding and
Yeah.
a setup of this R3.0, which is fascinating. I'd love to hear more about why you settled on design, well, regenerative design and resilience. I can't remember
Yeah.
the three R's now, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so it actually started as reporting 3.0
reporting.
because
Oh, right, okay,
yeah, and that only changed in 2019 when we
okay,
changed it to just R3.0 for redesign for resilience and regeneration.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the dot O refers to you need to have a calibration line. You need to have
yeah,
a zero line to measure above and beyond.
yeah,
So, and in short, we always called it R3.0 in a way, and
yeah,
people said, don't change the logo. There's
yeah,
everything in it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But from the title, we changed from Reporting 3.0 to R3.0 in 2019.
yeah,
But we set it up actually in late 2012 after that Rio Plus 20 summit, where we said, okay, if nobody's going to do the work that's necessary and that our government leaders has actually confirmed we should do,
yeah,
maybe we should jump into the cold water and simply do it.
yeah,
And it was sort of a habit of my career so far that every function that I had, I invented. It was
yeah, yeah,
the function at Siemens, it was the function at GRI, it was the function at Deloitte.
yeah,
None of these ever existed before.
yeah,
So I always designed or created these functions, and then I
yeah,
said, okay, then let's create a whole organization.
yeah,
And the idea was to be meaningful in a way that we said, okay, if we really want to have a regenerative, distributive, thriving economy,
yeah,
it is different from what it is right now.
yeah,
So the idea of let's create a potential ideal of what we want, and
yeah,
then backcast from there and see what areas do we find that really need to drastically change.
yeah,
And that led to sort of the strategy for the first decade of then reporting 3.0, then or 3.0,
yeah,
where we said, okay, then we need to work on all of these topics that now need to come up. And in total, we worked on 9 different topics.
yeah,
They all came out as so-called blueprints.
yeah,
These blueprints were the report about one of these areas,
yeah,
which we worked on for about a year with a working group of global experts, went through the design and a draft phase, and then published it. And there was always the idea they all need to link together
yeah,
because they are creating a sort of a knowledge commons.
yeah,
And that should help us to simultaneously leapfrog from a status quo right now to that idea of a regenerative, distributive, and thriving economy based on the backcasting that we did before.
yeah,
And we were of the idea we want to be sort of non-competitive and
yeah,
market making.
yeah,
Non-competitive meant we would not stand in the way of anybody.
yeah,
It is the logic of the better argument that should convince others to
yeah,
join
yeah,
that movement. And also see that it's not just one area that needs to change, like reporting. It will not deliver what's needed for a regenerative and distributive and thriving economy. It needs all the other elements as well. And that is why we embarked on that journey with 9 different blueprints or 9 different areas that we covered. And that was reporting to start with, of
yeah,
course. It was the idea of how would accounting look
yeah,
if it would fulfill the function that we needed for reporting. What is the data spectrum that we need for that? What sort of business transformation strategies do we need for that? What sort of what was it? Yeah, the whole idea of defining value
yeah,
and how would you define value and not just monetary value? Then the idea of education. And I think that was also one of the projects that you were
Yeah, I was involved
involved
with that
in
blueprint.
that
Yeah,
in that blueprint.
yeah,
And the idea of sustainable finance on the one hand,
yeah,
with the question, does it really ever existed?
yeah,
You can guess the answer.
yeah.
And then, of course, the idea of transformational funding needs,
Yes, of course. Yeah,
because what is needed is constantly underfunded.
yeah,
And and those nine different areas
yeah,
simultaneously could leapfrog into the idea of how do we get to a regenerative and distributive economy.
yeah. So I suppose just even the nine dimensions shows how complex, inherently complex this systemic change is. And like you're
Yeah,
saying, incremental work on a little bit here or there isn't going to change much. And
exactly.
for I was curious because I read your website, and for the uninitiated person that knows nothing about three R3.0, what would you say a summary of the organization is? A think tank, a do tank? How would you encapsulate what you're doing? Is it a thought leadership or?
Well, we're not presenting ourselves as the holy grail of developing the necessary thought leadership or being the thought leaders or something like
Yeah,
that. It was
yeah,
always very much, like I said, non-competitive and market making.
yeah,
Non-competitive meant we are happy to work with everybody who wants to work on these areas,
yeah,
and a conviction that that will create new markets.
right, yeah,
And we've seen that in certain niches that happened.
yeah,
And so I would say we are building coherence
yes, yeah,
in a field that is very scattered,
yeah,
and at the same time building community
yeah,
and also building movement.
yeah,
So if we now have around about 30,000 people worldwide in our network of all those that are somehow connected to us.
yeah,
Might it just be to receive our newsletter, up to those who are really working with us on projects.
yeah,
And what we also did is that we created two networks. One is what we call the Advocation Partner Network,
yeah,
because we wanted to keep the core of our 3.0 really small. Until today, we are just 6 people in total.
yeah,
And we have a sort of like an orbit, I would call it, of advocation partners around 150 organizations all over the world, where we always said, if what we do resonates, please integrate that into your business.
yeah,
And we can only benefit if you benefit from it.
yeah,
And then we have an academic alliance where we have it's mostly individual academics because academic organizations have a problem with joining initiatives like ours
yeah,
that are also helping us with the academic background of some of that, while we also have a lot of criticism about the academic sort of machine,
yeah, yeah,
so to
yeah,
say.
yeah,
And so that's a little bit what we are. And
yeah,
when we come to the bioregional aspect of our work nowadays, you will see we were even doing much more of that.
yeah.
And
Let's let's
so,
let's pause that because
Mhm.
I became involved and went to your couple of your conferences where I thought there was a lot of emphasis on transforming the field of sustainability or redesigning for it. However, I notice in the last 2 or 3 years there's been much more an influence on collapse and bioregionalism. And you've made that powerful statement, no organization yet is sustainable. So I'm interested in that
Mhm.
transformation, or you could say, or shift towards these two themes. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting, I think, for listeners. You could say you've been pioneering and innovating in sustainability for years. You probably know the field as well as anybody, or very familiar with what's going on, and you're often critiquing it. So why would somebody in the field make that turn, or why would your
Yeah.
organization make that turn?
Well, I think if you try to give our work in the first decade of our existence, I would say until 2022, roundabout
Yeah,
2012 to 2022, a name, we would we would emphasize that we would want to avoid an economic system collapse
Right. Okay. Yeah.
because we were seeing the developments in the climate field, we were seeing developments in the biodiversity field, resource availability, dependency on fossil fuels, migration, all of these areas that we were observing. And there was a moment also connected, I would say, 2021, 2022, to the reactions to the whole Blueprint knowledge commons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was that everybody says it's brilliant, but nobody activates it.
Yes.
And that is just simply a pattern that we've been seeing. And you need to simply realize that you know, there so many times when people said, "Oh, you're way too far out."
Yeah. Yeah.
And our answer would always be, maybe you're all too far behind
Yeah. Yeah.
to the reality that we're
Yeah.
facing with these developments on the macroeconomic scale.
Yeah.
Again, the micro-macro link
Yeah.
that comes into play here, and the sustainability context principle showing us that nobody was interested to measure their performance against
Yeah.
the sustainability context, which
Yeah.
would give them really a clear indication of their level of unsustainability,
Yeah.
and that everything that they do is just some sort of incrementalism,
Yeah.
and only makes it worse
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah.
because it's always like schmoozing with the idea, oh, we've become a little bit more sustainable,
Yeah.
which is a complete bullshit phrase,
Yeah.
because there is no little bit more sustainable. You can only become a little bit less degenerative
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
before crossing the line to regenerative. And from that point onward, you could call something sustainable.
Yeah.
But like I said, no company does. And just recently, Patagonia actually published a report where they said nothing what we do is sustainable.
Yeah.
And that was clear.
Yeah.
If even an organization like Patagonia says that and said, we're sorry, that says something. Because
Yeah.
they were
For
always
sure.
perceived to be one of the real leaders in
Yeah.
sustainability.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was a recognition that the idea of collapse avoidance is possibly too late.
Yeah.
And we've had good interactions with a lot of the sort of collapsology experts like Pablo Servigne, Jem Bandel, and others who very, very clearly said, guys, it's too late for collapse avoidance. We're in
Yeah.
collapse.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
knew that from the Limits to Growth report from
Yeah.
1972, that we're in collapse from that moment onwards.
Yeah.
It was the 21st of December in 1972 that we moved into collapse.
Yeah.
And I think what we're now seeing is just the culmination of a lot of areas that some people call a polycrisis
Yeah.
emerging into a meta crisis.
Yeah.
And that made a huge shift in our thinking where we said, if we're really at that stage, and people are not even collapse aware,
No. No.
not even collapse acknowledging, or not thinking about collapse resilience strategies,
Yeah.
maybe it's our role to do that.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
and that is where we made that shift, where the second decade of our work, which started in 2022, 2023, we would now call collapse resilience
Right.
strategies,
Yeah.
strategy development. And that also had another major shift, and that is that we very clearly said we will not focus on on corporations anymore. And we will not focus on governments anymore.
Right.
And we will not focus on major co-opted NGOs anymore. We need to develop this field from the ground up, knowing that there's already so much in existence that is just bulldozered over by our current economic system and is
Yeah.
kept under the carpet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time again again, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Let's make it visible. Let's
Yeah.
bring them up and create, due to our core skills that we have at R 3.0 that we already applied in the first decade. Let's apply that again in the second decade for the bioregional movement.
Okay.
And that is the major shift, I would say, from collapse avoidance
Yeah.
to collapse resilience.
Collapse
And
resilience.
that means that you very clearly need to address the aspect of the ongoing collapse.
Yeah.
No, you can't, sneak around it.
Yeah.
You just need to very clearly voice what it is. And then the offer that we have is it doesn't mean the end of the world,
Right.
but it means the end of the economic system as we know it.
Yeah.
And it means to say goodbye to a lot of those things that have a major footprint, and just to create value for a couple of billionaires.
Yeah.
And other arguments you can think of, but that is, I think, that describes that shift quite well.
Well, we'll just park bioregionalism and go on to that in a bit more detail as we go through. But I'm curious your experience, because in a way I think a lot of people might intuitively know that there's something coming, but they're afraid of themselves collapsing into resignation, dejection, powerlessness, numbness. So what do you see of the, you could say, the generative effects of engaging with the fact of collapse? What do you see? Benefits do you see?
Yeah, I can just simply explain it through my own case.
Yeah, sure. Please do.
First of all, I just needed to acknowledge that the work that we've been doing for the first decade was not in vain, but it didn't have the effect that we wanted it to have.
Yeah.
We wanted this to be picked up by governments and by corporate sectors and let industry associations work on their own sustainability using our materials, and then create that community, not stand in the way, let them do it. And what we saw was just continuous denial.
Yeah.
And that, of course, that can not only frustrate you, that can also make you very depressive.
Yeah.
In a way that you would say, has my work in the last 10 years was it totally useless?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I think what it means is that not just me but also really everybody needs to go through a certain mourning journey.
Yeah.
And that is really the starting of the awareness of you can't avoid collapse. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You can stick your head into the sand and wait for others to solve it for you.
Yeah.
Or you focus more on yourself and your own development and do something.
Yeah.
And that's what we did, where we said, okay, we have a great basis of the work that we did in the first decade, but it's not enough. And we will face certain aspects of collapse, and nobody knows how devastating it will be, but it has to be clear that everybody will be affected.
Yeah.
Not just in the global, but also in the local world.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so from that, I think it took me like a good 2 years.
Right. Yeah, I bet.
To really go through that journey, and I'm aiming to come out stronger than before.
Yeah.
Because I've changed an awful lot of things in my life.
Right.
And I changed the strategy of the organization that I run together with my colleagues. And that focuses, or that went sort of like a recalibration of a lot of my views and a lot of our strategies at R 3.0.
Right.
So from a private perspective, we were thinking about how can we engage more with the idea of bioregionalism.
Yeah.
And as we were always working sort of like on an overarching level, and not so much with our hands in the ground.
Yes, exactly.
So to say.
Yeah.
How would we make connection and how would we become excited, and how can we absorb all the huge amount of variation of bioregional work. And that is where, due to the fact that our kids are out of the house, I had an old dog which just passed away 2 weeks ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but she was also keeping us a bit here
Yeah,
because we needed to take care of her. But we actually bought a camper
yeah,
about a year ago and said, "Hey, let's go on the road. We wanna go to the places.
yeah,
We want to see the places. We want to engage with these places. We want to learn from these places, and we want to create a learning exchange of all of these places
yeah,
by having been there, having created connection, and more and more understanding not just only the environmental but also the cultural aspect of bioregional work.
yeah.
And that led to the idea of being partially bioregional nomads.
Right.
We would sell our house. We're in the process of selling it. We would still have a home base somewhere closer by, but much, much smaller.
Yeah,
And so to recalibrate our private life in quite drastic ways. And you know, that is family work that you have to do.
yeah,
Also, our habits of, for example, growing our own food, at least fruit and vegetable here at our plot, which we will continue also on the smaller plot, but in other ways.
yeah,
And also being more aware of everything that you buy.
yeah.
So, for example, just a simple example, um, avoid supermarkets.
Right.
Supermarkets are temples of sin.
Right.
Um, with the whole, just the single footprint of one supermarket is immense.
Yeah,
So, and realize that essentially everything that you need, basically, apart from maybe some luxuries, you can buy locally.
yeah,
And so, just in the vicinity of about 2 kilometers from here, we have a vineyard. We have cattle farmers. We have fruit farmers, vegetable farmers, milk. So my wife and I have a habit to go to these places like once a week
yeah,
and buy what we need
yeah.
while doing sport at the same time, being healthy.
Good combination.
Good combination. And just that level of awareness and that level of comfort that you had before,
Yeah.
you just need to question it and
But
really see.
based on what you said before, reflect. It's sort of like you had this global overview with R 3.0, but now you've come back to you're describing the micro
Mhm.
personal level. So it's like
Mhm.
you're putting that all of that into practice in your own life. But if we just cycle back to bioregionalism and bioregions, for people
Mhm.
that are unfamiliar with that, can you sort of briefly describe some of the concepts of why bioregion is important as opposed to other ways of organizing we've got now or
Yeah.
organizing humans that we've got now?
Well, first of all, and that's one of the recognitions here, is that you criticize the idea of nation states
Yeah,
and the egoism it creates and how difficult it is to really coordinate between nation states.
yeah,
And we see that with the European Union every day.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if Hungary doesn't want to do something, it just blocks the whole EU,
yeah, yeah,
which is ridiculous in a
yeah,
way. It also criticizes the idea of that everything is actually managed through ownership.
right,
So you have some of these basic concepts, which take you back to the idea of the global commons.
yeah,
And also looking back into history of how has this planet organized itself. and how have humans in their 400,000 years of existence coped with that?
Yeah.
And you just realize that living bioregionally has been the source code of humanity since we existed.
Yeah.
And like only just with industrialization and globalization, it just got bulldozed over.
Yeah.
And it's also the recognition that there's so much richness in wisdom, in indigenous wisdom, that we need to uncover that again. And then comes the question, what is then a bioregion?
Yeah.
And Peter Burke from the Planet Drum Foundation was sort of the initiator of a definition where he said, it's a distinct geological area, but it's also a cultural area in a way.
Yeah.
And most of all, it is always defined by the watersheds.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you look at a map and you
Yeah.
just look at the flow of water, you can identify, I would say, around about between 200 and 400 bioregions on this planet.
Yeah.
It depends on how granular you want to become, but let's say minimally 200. But in between there are some sub-bioregions
Yeah.
as well. And that gives you an idea with the geological structures that you have and with the cultures that live there, what a bioregion means and what you can do in a bioregion,
Yeah.
being in balance with your thresholds and allocations. So
Yeah.
here comes the
Yeah.
sustainability context principle
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And you would learn very quickly what your bioregion cannot do,
Yeah.
just simply because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And you also find that there are membranes between bioregions, very logically through humans or through, rivers and, geological things like mountains and so on. But there's always connection. So
Yeah.
you can never think of one bioregion. You always need to think about the bioregions
Yeah.
and their membranes. And then you come to the point, well, if that is maybe a much better way to structure life, all life on Earth,
Yeah.
by the recognition and by the mapping of these bioregions, how would an economic system look?
Yeah.
If you come to the idea that bioregionalism is maybe the best way to organize life
Yeah.
from the point of view that it always has.
Yes.
And
It's
that we
true.
just need
Yeah.
to adapt to that and really
Yeah.
put the economy under the hood of the ecology
Yeah.
and also under the hood of the well-being of all life,
Yeah.
that the living part of it. Um, well, I also accept that Gaia is a living function
Yeah.
or living organism.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to make that clear that a bioregion has all these different components, and then you have the idea of okay, what does it mean then for an economic system design?
Yeah.
And that is really what sustainability was all about, to create a different economic system design that would be in balance,
Yeah.
the one planet that we have and the well-being of all life on this planet. So we're just going back to the origins of the sustainability paradigm as well,
Yeah.
through regeneration, through bioregionalism.
And I've been conscious. I do get your emails, and I don't read them in depth, but I'm conscious of this pivot in your work is means that you're helping bioregions organize themselves, possibly providing funding and helping them come to work together, you could say, in the beginning. So
Yeah.
would you like to say a little bit about how you're influencing your inputs into the bioregional movement? So we've
Yeah.
kind of got the basis of what it is, but
Yeah.
I think this might be interesting for listeners. Your organization's tentacles, in a way, have spread really deep into this movement. So
Yeah. And it goes back to the question, what is our 3.0 today?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And just, what is our sort of second decade? and what is collapse resilience in more detail.
Yeah.
So we strategized in a way that we said there are actually four major pillars of the work that we want to engage in.
Yeah.
The first one is called weaving and kinship building.
Right. Yeah.
So that is really using our assets of having been a global organization from the start, having always delivered. No bullshit here. We only commit to what we can deliver.
Yeah.
And that means that there are so many bioregions and already existing bioregional learning centers
Yeah.
on this planet. I know of hundreds
Yeah.
actually right now that sort of live all by themselves.
Yeah.
And there's a huge potential to well, yeah, to weave between them,
Yes.
bring them together, to weave between them. There's even several bioregional learning centers in the same bioregion sometimes
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
don't even know of each other
Yeah.
because of the spread of the bioregion. A bioregion can be huge.
Yeah.
And but also between bioregions, between bioregional learning centers in bioregions. And that has led to a change of how we organize our conferences.
Right.
So we would still do an online conference, which we do for a couple of years now, but we accompany that with so-called confluences.
Yeah.
So bioregional learning centers, or just simply groups of people in a bioregions that are, working on bioregionalism, would form a group, and they would screen our conference locally. So we're creating less footprint by
Yes.
people traveling to a central conference,
Yeah.
and then building a program around it.
Right.
Really translating that content into, okay, what is it that we heard? What does that mean for our context in our bioregion? How can we make use of that knowledge? And what can we learn from other bioregions? Because, you
So
would have,
in the conference, you're still showcasing like pioneers and leaders or living examples of
yeah, we
bioregionalism.
we are building that around these four pillars, and I'm
Yeah.
just in the first pillar.
Yeah.
So maybe useful to just mention the other pillars. The second is really the creation of knowledge commons,
Yeah.
so that everybody has access to that information. Data sovereignty and independence and all of these things play a role here. A third one is around bioregional governance or self-governance,
Yeah.
which is sort of also building a structure that is independent of politics
Yeah.
and is built very much on sociocracy and pro-social and other means of dialoguing,
Yeah.
also defining what sort of levels of dialogue are necessary in and in between
Yeah.
bioregions to make that new economic thinking healthy.
Yeah.
And the last one is bioregional finance,
Yeah.
or the bioregional funding ecosystem.
Yes.
So those are the four pillars that we're
Yeah.
concentrating on in our work, and
Yeah.
we bring these four areas to the forefront at the conference with having the best thinkers there, and the confluences will absorb that content and then translate it into their own context.
Right.
And last year we had more than 50 confluences
Wow.
from 6 different continents
Wow.
that were following the conference. It was our biggest conference ever.
I was thinking it's a
Also.
big expansion on the ones that I attended, which
Oh
weren't
yeah,
badly attended, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, a face-to-face conference would be like 100 to 150 people
Yeah.
maximum. Now we
Yeah.
had more than 400
Yeah.
last year. And we're going to continue that format also now for 2026. And we just opened the registration for conferences. And within 3 weeks, we have 30 conferences already
Wow.
open.
Okay. Great.
And
Yeah.
we're expecting that we will go beyond the 50 of last year.
Right.
Maybe we even reach 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Yeah.
Just by spreading the word around the quality of our conferences and the in-depth learning experience. And then every day we have 2 feedback sessions as well, one in late in the evening and one earlier in the morning of the next day,
Yeah.
so that we try to capture as many time zones as
Yeah,
possible,
of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which you can't do 24 of them, but at least I think 20 of them we are now in.
Oh, right.
And they could participate then also in these feedback sessions and or debrief sessions, debrief and feedback. And at the same time, it's a learning experience
Yeah,
when
yeah,
people from many different bioregions talk about how they absorbed the content.
yeah,
And alongside that, what has happened after last year's conference is that the conference organizers said, hey, can we continue this even outside of the conference?
right.
And so now we have monthly Confluence community calls where we're always showcasing one of these bioregional learning centers
Yeah,
and their approaches. And this has been so rich and so culturally diverse
yeah,
that it's an enormous learning curve for us and for that whole community.
yeah,
And so that's one way of weaving. Another way, which is free of charge and access for all, is our bioregional dialogues. We
yeah,
organize them on a monthly basis as well. And they are normally attended by minimally 100 people as well. And
mm,
there is the hope that it even attracts more people to engage in bioregional formats and become active
yeah,
on
yeah,
their
yeah.
in their neck of the woods. So that's how we are building more and more of that community.
Well, thanks for that. It was a very full description, and I'm really a great admirer of your work and want to participate more myself. Um, but I'm conscious of time, and just for when we talk about bioregions, we're talking about nature, geology, mountains, or rivers. But so many people actually live in cities today that are kind of like trying to hold the bioregion at bay or try a defense against that in some way.
Mm.
What would you recommend to somebody that's new to bioregionalism of getting active themselves today
Yeah.
if they're inspired by what they've heard?
Well, first of all, there is the recognition that a city is always embedded in a bioregion,
Yeah,
in places.
yeah,
And I know that there is a lot of activity about sustainability in cities and the urban farming and
yeah,
many of those things that happen close by. So you
yeah,
can always start there. But then there's surely always a bioregional learning center somewhere in the
yes,
bioregion.
yeah,
And these are open to people that want to engage. And then it means that for everybody, first of all, sort of in a parallel universe, detect what it is
yeah,
in your bioregion that is already existing.
yeah,
And if it attracts you, and if you want to engage, and if you want to become involved, and then maybe at a later stage, and that it might be part of the morning journey that people go through,
yeah,
just really do an assessment if your first life, so to say, is a life that is valuable to continue
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
The job that you have, the treadmill that you're in, the education your kids get, your hobbies, things like that.
yeah,
Just question yourself
yeah,
if that is really something that you want to continue, if you want a future for your children,
yeah.
and if you want your children to connect to nature as early as possible, and not just in the city context.
No, exactly. Yeah,
And take the weekends to go out of the city, explore the beauty of nature, explore the connection to animals.
yeah,
Um, Hugely important. So yeah, I think the whole area of education for kids can be something you can put a lot of time into
yes,
and see how that works. And then just simply act in a way,
yeah,
avoid supermarkets, like I said.
yeah,
That would
yeah,
be my first go-to place.
yeah,
Find the nearest local
yeah,
that offers those services.
yeah.
And yes, that might cost a little bit more, but it also means it's not subsidized.
Yeah.
and that you're paying more of the real cost of production
Right, that's
of that
true. Yeah,
natural
yeah,
food.
yeah,
So those are just early steps that somebody can take,
yeah,
like we did. Huh?
yeah,
There's no rocket science in that. You just need to go from collapse denial to collapse awareness and to collapse acknowledgement.
yeah,
That's the steps that you go through in a morning journey, and then take consequences from that.
yeah. But I think, despite that sort of being could be a no-go area for people, I think what you've expressed and shared throughout this interview, how much possibility lies on the other side of collapse awareness and collapse acceptance, and it could lead to a different kind of micro empowerment, as it
Yeah.
were, as you described.
And I would add that above and beyond from all of the things that I said, there's also the inner work
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is necessary and that needs to be done. And um, the the embodiment
Yeah.
of what you're going through and what your body goes through and what your intellect, your mind goes through, the spirituality that you can develop with nature that you might have never felt before.
Yeah.
Those are things that, for example, I learned a lot of that from my dog.
Right.
Yeah. This excitement about, how things smell, how things taste, the excitement of jumping into water, the excitement of, looking into blue sky, the excitement of rubbing yourself around a tree, things like that.
Yeah.
And the happiness that comes out of that, or came out of that, I have to say now. It was just so right in front of me.
Right. Yeah.
And I learned an awful lot. And you may know, or you know, that I've written a book,
Yep.
The Corona Chronicles,
Yeah.
Envisaging a New Normal for Regeneration and Thriving. And that book and the different chapters and the ideas were more or less all developed on my morning walks
Yeah.
with our dog.
Yeah.
And so I think she had a huge influence on some of the decisions that I took and some of the thinking that I had and what I just observed through her,
Yeah.
and how she also built her own kin and community and how she attracted others to come to her and all of that. There are so many good things that I learned just from having lived with that dog for 12 years.
I think Otto Scharmer calls this phase of the you observe, observe, observe. So there's something about paying attention to those
Mm.
things. And I think also that point about your dog and what you experienced actually shows that this sort of essence of life is much closer than we think and realize. It's much closer to us
Mhm.
and is in us than we're actually aware of, and we need to appreciate.
Yeah, we need to allow it to come in.
Yeah, yeah. So let's end on that note. Thanks so much, Ralph. It's been great to hear from you and hear about this incredible journey from sustainability to bioregionalism, and now newly again starting on nomadism. So great to hear all of that. And thank you for joining this interview.
It's very nice talking to you, Dave.
Thank you. I'm just going to end now.